Welcome to the Expanded View. I am Reverend Mary Huber, pastor of the Community Chapel of Holistic Healing, and I have an exciting topic to share with you today because with me is Mary Beth Decker, who is a spiritual animal communicator and owner of the business known as Sacred Grove, which is a place where animals and pets heal and connect. And our title today for this session is Spiritual Perspectives on Animals. And I think you're going to really enjoy this. Mary Beth, thank you so much for joining us. It's my great pleasure to have you here today. I'm excited about the topic. Do you want to share a little bit maybe about how you communicate or with animals or how you get into it?
Thank you, Mary. I'm so excited to do this. I have to tell you, I feel that I'm an animal communicator and healer, and they go really hand in hand. And so I gotta say that I'm one of those people who cannot claim that I came out of the womb talking to animals. I would like to, I've always been this, but as far as I know, I haven't always been this. Other people have told me you probably did, but I got to tell you from my perspective. So what is really cool is somewhere later in life, and I think I'm one of those people who had to do some other things before they got to this stuff. I started taking energy healing classes, became a Reiki master, did quantum touch, and my dogs started communicating with me. And that's the way it felt to me. A couple good stories. My dog, Timmy, after he passed, I was making dinner, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw him in the dining room, and he's just a great guy. He had one ear up and one ear down, which is the Timmy look, and a great smile. And I turned around, Timmy, and he was gone. But he was not a see-through guy. He was like right there. And in that tiny moment, I thought about it a lot, obviously. He survived. I know he survived death because I don't have hallucinations. I'm not. So this is real. He survived death. He was happy and excited, and he took the time to come back and tell me, "Hey, Mom, I'm good. I love you." All in that small instant, right? It was great. And so there's a couple other stories too. The guy down here, we'll see how this goes, but that's my guy, Tibor. And he's the one that actually got me into animal communication because he came from a tough background. I picked up some stuff about him, but I would sit on the couch next to him and I would see, if you've ever seen the pictures of where they're training guard dogs and the guy's in a big thick suit and the German Shepherd's coming up. Yes. You haven't seen that. Yes, I'm like, one time, well, that's interesting. 2 times is, I got to find out what the heck's going on with this dog. And that's when I found out animal communication is a thing. And I started communicating with animals, and they're people, and people's hearts are so open that I just fell in love with just doing this.
I think it's important work, Mary Beth, because so many people have no other way to understand their animals, and you feel that you can, and you know that there's something there, and you'd like to go make that leap that you've made. And it's just a wonderful gift that you have, because you're helping so many people, I'm sure, to understand their animals better.
I am, and I feel like I'm a relationship counselor and troubleshooter because there are a lot of cats out there not using their litter boxes, and there are. I'm glad you're laughing, and there are dogs that are having issues with being good family members, if I can say it that way. There's ways to live in the family. Maybe they can't, no, it can't, and this is true, can't bring people in the house because the dogs are acting like, this is my house. What the heck are you doing here? And so, fixing or stop waking me up at 4 a.m. Human beings need their sleep.
Well, do you think that average people sort of miss communications when they get them from people? I mean, because I've had one dramatic instance, and maybe I've had more and I just didn't realize it, but it was a very bad stormy day. I was at my daughter's. She had two dogs, so we're put out for her because she was working, and I was watching the kids, and it was really bad day. And they were up on the deck, and I knew they were there, and I was busy at the sink, and all of a sudden I heard very clearly, "Let us in." I thought, wait a minute, let us in. I looked at the door and they were standing there desperately. And I thought, oh my goodness, they spoke to me. So I ran over and opened the door.
I think that happens a lot. In fact, before I owned that I was an animal communicator, my one story is when I heard my dog Mitsubishi talk to me, I said, man, if that dog could talk, I just heard him say, and if anybody's ever had that thought in their mind, your animal just connected with you.
Really, I
Yeah.
believe that. I truly believe that. I think
Yeah.
that's a much more important topic to the average person who loves
It is.
pets than anybody can conceive of. What you do is important that people understand this. And can people learn how to do this?
They can. In fact, I'm teaching a class right now, and I call it UConnect. And from my own experience, since I learned it, I think it is something that we are hardwired to receive energetic information. And if you add the love that we have for our animals in, which just opens up that lovely thing, I can help people learn how to do that, and they do.
They could probably find a class on your website then.
Yeah, it's definitely on my website, sacredgrove.com. I teach two semesters a year. And we talk about communicating with our animals and wild animals and helping our animals transition and all kinds of cool stuff.
Of course, you have written a book on animal transition.
And this is my original. I am Peace in Passing, Comfort for Loving Humans During Animal Transitions. And I have rewritten it. It's going to be a lot thicker. It's coming out in November because in the 5 years since I wrote the first book, I have worked with so many people and their animals before, during, and after transitions. And I thought, I just want to share every nugget of good information to help people navigate that.
Yeah. And it's a big navigation because I was with I had been given a dog, a beagle, a wonderful beagle, and he was so active, and I lived alone. I couldn't handle him, so I had given him to my daughter because she had a family, and he was so energetic. And my son had named him Einstein, and I found, and she found as time went on, this dog had very superior instincts of how to communicate. If he wanted water, there was no water there, he would pick up the dish and bang it until you heard the dish and that he needed something, at least, vital. But it's so important. When he died, we were all so connected to him that we were there crying like we were in the back of a funeral home for a person, bawling our eyes out. because he had to be, taken, the vet, relieved him of his end days of the problems he had. And we knew it was the best thing for him. And we just so regretted that. And we just went out like a family in mourning for a person. It was just so traumatic and so dramatic. And it took us a while before we got over that, quite a while.
And I don't know that we have gotten quite to the point as a nation or maybe a culture to honor that, because you just said that so eloquently. So you got somebody in the family who is a family member, and possibly, one of my taglines, which is true, you got a lot of comfort from this being. So I said, my tagline is, I work with people who love their animals as much as, or more than, some of the people in their lives.
And I've seen that.
Because there's a lot fewer grudges between animals and people. We get a lot more unconditional love. And then on top of that, we have to decide to let them go. We set up the time of their death. Mm-hmm. That's a heavy burden for us.
Oh yeah. Yes. It's very, very difficult to make that decision. It really is.
Absolutely. And so those two things, there's a lot of guilt, a lot of what ifs, did I do it too soon? Did I wait too late? Are they mad at me? Do I need to ask them for forgiveness? All that stuff gets in the way of finding peace.
So what would be your best advice for somebody in that position of
Thank you.
having to make that decision? It's just,
I think you're looking for quality of life for them, quality of life.
Yes.
And I think a good veterinarian will also say it. So I'll say a couple of things that maybe the veterinarian might not say. You got their medical power of attorney, of medical power, attorney, golly.
Yes.
Attorney, that power of attorney.
Power of attorney. Right.
Thank you.
Yes.
From them, once they decided to become a part of your family. And I do think it's a spiritual decision on both your parts.
Absolutely.
So they're said to you, I trust you to do the right thing. And if you made the decision out of love and concern, that's good enough for them. Okay, I want to stop and let that sink in.
That's good to hear, because it's just a relief to know, but it's still difficult. It's as difficult as any member of the family. That's right.
And you have to balance. You have to also balance. They'll stick around a little, and they'll wait for you to be ready as well.
Yes,
they're very good. I've asked dogs and cats to give their people a little more time so that they can prepare, and they got a couple more months. And sometimes it's like, I'm sorry, I cannot keep my soul. I'm going to call it a soul. I can't keep it in my body anymore. I've got to go. And it's not that they don't care, but it's the body can't do it anymore.
You know what? I'm a nurse. I still have my license. I'm obviously not practicing because I cannot. I'm 85 years old, but I've worked all my life in nursing, and I'm helping so many people make that transition and helping their families. There really isn't a lot of difference in what you were saying about the passing of animals and the passing of the human, because the connections are very strong. The need to have that integration of the animal kingdom in your world that does support you and makes you, I think, a better human being. I had a friend who, Reverend Michelle Lussan, who started our organization, she always said that through her channel that many people needed to have an animal so that they would have the understanding of taking full responsibility for another living being that would aid their own personal spiritual growth. And that relationship is quite, as you said, quite sacred.
It is, that's a lovely word. It is quite sacred. And I think I really wanted to talk about that too, that, you know, animals do give us this opportunity to grow spiritually. Not just at the end, but I mean, I like to say they have their own preferences, personalities, and peculiarities. And when we learn to find delight in spite of, and sometimes because of that, there's a spiritual growth and a loving and imperfect being, and also allowing that unconditional love that they give us into our hearts, and hopefully that we can share that with others, but it still softens us in a way that's quite lovely, right?
Yes, and there's something that I have been told, and I think I've seen it, is that the animal will often take on something for the human physically that would relieve the individual owner of having to go through that disease or whatever. So some animals, I am been informed, and again, I'm going to give this to you to answer, but I've been told that they will take on. My daughter now has this beautiful chocolate lab who is suddenly horribly diabetic, suddenly got very, very violently ill, and now has an extreme imbalance in blood sugar, and she's trying to get a handle on that. Now she's a nurse too, so it helps, you know, take care of the animal, but there seems to be a lack of understanding of this level that we're talking about with a lot of vets, and she's hearing kind of a mechanical response to her questions rather than I don't know, in-depth kind of feeling that they get it, kind of, and you know, helping the animal a little bit more than I would expect. And I equated it with her. I said, there, you know, traditional physical MDs for us have the same problem. Some people are not going to their intuitive place and coming up with the diagnosis that would be more pertinent and picking up signals that are not, you know, there mechanically in front of you in the form of a lab test or something. So I'm hoping this is all working its way into the medical field in both the vet area and as well as the human area, that they become more attuned.
And I think in some cases that is true. I've also felt like the animal took it on. There's another way of looking at it. And I wrestle with both of those because I also think they're there for themselves, but they're also swimming and living in the energetic emanations that we humans are creating.
Right.
And because we are the ones in charge, and I don't mean that like alphas, I just mean like we're the leaders. That's very important to consider, what we are emanating and how it's affecting our animals. And I actually had one of my vets actually had the insight to say, when I brought one of my dogs in, to say, is there anything going on in the household we should know about? I'm like, really? She's good. So, I mean,
very attuned.
Yeah, so you know, you may look at it either way, but it always, that's again the spiritual is saying, okay, is there anything in my life that if I got a handle on it and would help my animal? I had early on worked with a woman, and her dog had extreme anxiety, separation anxiety, so bad that she found her one time. She was caught up in the blinds, and you know, almost caught the neck, and And I said, is it possible that there's some anxiety in you that she's also picking up? And she goes, no, no. And then I get an email back and she says, you know what? I do have a lot of anxiety. I started to do meditation. And both of them found a calmer place. And she was having to keep the dog in the crate. And then when they worked it out, her dog could roam and could have some ability to get around the house. And they both had to work on it.
Well, growth for both of them, because
Yeah, exactly. Isn't that?
yeah,
Yeah.
the animals are also in the process of evolution as well. And that's part of their journey, is to be with, I'm going to say, the human family. It does have it's higher up on the notch, I guess, of creation. So we are being held to accountability for them.
Mhm.
And they are looking to us for their growth and development as well, which is, it's a wonderful, lovely cooperative venture. And we don't realize that a lot.
Yeah, I think that I've met animals who, even ones that didn't stay very long, they didn't stay as long as their life cycle should have been, through either disease or an accident. And what it felt like what they needed was unconditional love for the human, because many times, sadly, we view animals as commodities. What can they do for us? Do they taste good? Do they run fast and win something? Are they good accessories?
Yes.
I'm sorry to say. Do they keep us, keep us warm, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But to just be loved and taken care of because they're a soul, and being valued for that is totally provides such growth for them as they move back into the non-physical world. To have that experience, it heals something in them.
Well, I think people should be getting your book, because I think your insights are so wise and would certainly help looking at life through the life of the animal, and how to help them will help the person understand a little bit more about human interaction and how to help the other human beings basically going through the same thing. So it's a very wonderful idea that you have to create that. And I think we're a little bit out of time now. I think maybe we could do part 2 somewhere down the line.
I love that.
A lot of information for us. So I just want to thank you so much for being here today, Mary Beth. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And you can find this podcast on our website at ccwh.com. It'll be on YouTube as well. And just again, thank you so much. And I would love to see you again in person sometime, and enjoy that relationship with you again in our own. You have been there with our church before, and would love to have you back as soon as we get back with after this COVID is over. So thank you very much. And
thank you.
Until then, just have a lot of love and peace and joy in your life. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.